Hello and welcome. My name is Megan Pennington. I'm the founder of MP Integrative Health and an integrative health practitioner. What I'm going to talk about today is the science of Healy. Healy is a bioresonance device, and this topic is not well understood and not well explained. And so my goal today is really to dive deep into the science on how the technology works and how it benefits your everyday life, not only on a physical level, but also mental and emotional. So I'm going to start with showing you an article that I wrote. It's on my website, meganpennington.com, and it's all about the science of Healy, and it has the medical classifications. It's fully scientifically referenced so that you have access to all of the studies and scientific literature that I'm going to talk about in this video. So I highly recommend that you go and read the article because it is going to be presented in a slightly different way, and that way you have all the information and you can refer back to it whenever you need. So Healy is a portable bioresonance device where bio is referring to the biological system and resonance refers to harmonization and balance. Healy is certified as a Class 2 medical device in several countries and is approved for treating a variety of conditions, including pain and mental illness. Now, just to note, these two areas are what is approved, but as you know, there are medical applications and then there are health and wellness applications. So there are many things that the Healy can do that it is not necessarily medically approved for, but that doesn't mean that it isn't effective. It just hasn't been formally approved by the medical community for that. So it has the capacity to identify where there is imbalance in the body and deliver individualized microcurrent frequencies to recalibrate the physical, mental, emotional, and cellular levels. I'm going to explain what this means and how it works. But first, I just want to go to the founders and owners and inventors of the Healy so that you can understand where this concept even came from. So Marcus Schmeich, he's one of the founders and inventors of Healy, but also TimeWaver. So TimeWaver is important because it's the parent model of the Healy. TimeWaver is a practitioner device, meaning that it is utilized by medical practitioners in an office or in a clinic, and you have to go and receive treatment in person for this technology. So what they wanted to do was make the TimeWaver technology and microcurrent frequencies available to everyone. And so they made the Healy because it's a portable device that you can bring home with you. Now, the important thing to realize is that Healy is self-administered. So it does a scan for you, for example. It recommends frequencies, and you can run those, or you can choose which ones you want individually, but you're not working with a practitioner. So there is that main difference, and it makes it, of course, much more cost-effective. You don't have to go anywhere, and you get to have it for life. So that's amazing. So Marcus has done extensive studies in physics and philosophy. He's the author of 25 books. He's the founder of 2 institutes. He's a lecturer and international congress speaker on international science and medicine. And he's also published many scientific articles about the information and the science that we're going to talk about today. And so I'll go through some of those in the presentation, but just so that you know, he is a very intelligent, very heart conscious being wanting to bring this technology to the world, and he has done extensive research in this area. Now, Nuno Nina is another contributor to the Healy that needs to be brought to the light as well, because he helped create the frequencies of the device which really bring the harmonization into the body. So he worked on TimeWaver and also with Marcus on Healy to bring those frequencies together. And he has his own company as well called Lumi Vitae, where he produces hydrogen products. So I'm going to discuss this separately because it is a completely different topic, but just so that you know, hydrogen is incredibly important. It's also anti-inflammatory, a potent antioxidant, and basically it's the main hydration factor in our body. And so it is very important in this discussion because we need to properly receive receive the frequencies and integrate them into the body. And in order to do that, we need to be properly hydrated with enough hydrogen. And so that will be a topic for another day, but just to mention that they work together. So Healy has a holistic advisory board. So you see Nuno here, but you see other MDs. Carolyn McMacken, she is a very active practitioner in the microcurrent frequency field, and she has done and published many scientific studies of her own with regards to microcurrent frequency. So she also has her own website. She's done presentations in front of thousands of people. So she has these videos and presentations that you can watch, and the scientific studies on her website if you want to peruse those as well. And there's a bunch of other PhDs and MDs on the advisory board, so that, again, you can feel that this is legitimate and that there are multiple people working on this and making sure that it is of the utmost quality. So just to give a very brief overview, Nikola Tesla said that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So this concept goes back to the early 1700s. This is not a new age, new concept. This is old science brought to you in a new way. And so Marcus says that all matter consists of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Therefore, Healy technology is based on the belief that electromagnetic fields vibrating at quantum analyzed frequencies can provide the body with the information and energy it needs to harmonize its own energetic self-organization and self-repair. These specific frequencies can take the bioenergetic field of the body to a state of higher order, manifesting itself in holistic health, well-being, and vitality. And I'm going to show you a video to illustrate what he means by higher order. So the frequencies will affect your individual cells and molecules, which I'll get into later, but it also affects the being as a whole, the system as a whole, and I'll show you what I mean. So I hope that's clear what this illustrates. Basically, they vibrated different frequencies on a metal plate, and the frequencies not only impacted the individual grains of salt on the plate, but they also impacted the whole, the organization and the pattern of all of them together as a system. And so frequencies can do the same thing in the body, and that's what Marcus was basically talking about. So in order to explain how this works and what it means for you on an individual basis, we need to go back to the beginning. So we know that we are made of organs, tissues, cells, molecules, and atoms. And if we go a level deeper, we are made of subatomic particles such as photons and electrons. Every plant, object, and even light itself is made of these subatomic particles, which interact together to create matter and the forces such as gravity that govern our universe. It is well established by physics and quantum mechanics that all particles contain energy and are in constant motion or vibration. So I promised that I would go into the research, and so I'm going to prove everything that I say with scientific research. So this is from the Michigan State University, and they say that matter is made up of molecules. All molecules have energy and are in constant motion. Basically, they're vibrating. This vibration is the energy of the matter and can be measured as temperature. Most matter expands when heated, and when cooled, it contracts. The more energy something has, the higher its temperature and the more its molecules are vibrating. So this is important because wherever there is energy, there is also frequency. So back in the 1800s, physicist Max Planck and Albert Einstein came up with the equation that E equals hf, where energy is E, and F is frequency. And so in every way, wherever we have energy, which is everywhere, we also have frequency. And therefore frequency is directly implicated into your everyday life, not only internally, but externally. So frequency is basically the number of cycles or oscillations per second. So that vibrating plate that you saw was vibrating at different frequencies. The rate at which it was vibrating can be determined in the number of vibrations or oscillations per second. In this diagram, it's shown as a wave, and you have 2 full cycles, 1, 2.5 per second. So the frequency is 2.5 hertz. Hertz is just the international unit for frequency. So the most common way of kind of understanding frequency is to think of our environment, because there's frequencies everywhere, especially on the electromagnetic spectrum. So you have frequencies involved in your TV broadcasting. The radio that you listen to, maybe in your car, is all delivered on frequency. So these different channels that you're turning into are different frequency bands, and that's how the information gets delivered from the station to your car. Your mobile phones produce frequencies. Microwaves are a frequency. Visible light is a frequency. So different frequencies in this range up here create color. Ultraviolet light, that's UV rays. So UV rays are really important for our skin to produce vitamin D, and vitamin D is an essential nutrient that we don't get from anywhere else unless we take a supplement. And so this particular frequency helps our body survive. When you get up to the very high levels of frequency, that's where you can start to create damage, because you have ionizing radiation, and ionizing means that it can break apart molecules. So it can damage DNA and it can kill cells. And that's what doctors will use for cancer treatment, for example. It's radiation at these very high frequencies. And like x-rays, for example, you go to a dentist and they want to x-ray your mouth. You have to put on this big armor in order to protect your vital organs from that high frequency. So the important thing to know from this is that different levels of frequency, low versus high, impact the body differently. And the Healy works on this end of the spectrum here, extremely low frequencies between 0 and 1000, or 10 to the 3. So in this level, you are not able to damage cells. It is associated actually with the natural intrinsic frequencies of the body, because all of our cells and organs produce their own frequencies, because again, everything has energy. Where you have energy, you have frequency. So you have frequency in the body being accumulated and produced all the time. And so this level here from 0 to 1000 is actually associated with the levels already in our body and associated with therapeutic effect. Now, to give you one example of this, brainwaves. So like I said, everything in our body creates a frequency, including our thoughts and our brain function. So you have these different frequencies here: delta, which is deep sleep; you have theta, which is relaxation; alpha, which is like calm; and then you have beta, which is like awake, alert, and very conscious. So these different brainwave states are associated with frequency: 1 to 4 hertz, 4 to 8 hertz, 8 to 12 hertz, all the way up to gamma is the highest level. It's the very awake state. It's 30 to 100 hertz. So as you can see, there are benefits to having these frequencies at this low level, because for one, it can affect your brainwaves. And that's just one example. It does the same thing with all of the cells and organs, which I will get to. So we have here a paper about energy medicine written by Christina Ross, and you can go through this and there's all the scientific references, but the conclusion is that it has been firmly established that tissues such as blood, muscle, ligaments, bone, and cartilage respond to biophysical input, such as frequency, including electrical and electromagnetic fields. Research shows that certain field strengths and frequencies appear to be disease modifying. So for Alzheimer's, 5 to 8 hertz showed that there was an improvement in cognitive function. 50 hertz shows pain reduction. 64 shows more pain reduction. 50 increases the immune response. 114 is tumor specific, meaning it decreases the tumor size. 20 hertz is pain reduction. I won't go through all of these, but you can see that there are many, and they significantly reduce inflammation, they improve nervous system problems, they are helpful in post-injury, they intervene with migraines, they significantly alleviate multiple sclerosis symptoms. So you can see that this is very effective and beneficial. So how does the Healy know which frequencies to actually choose for you? Well, there's what's called a quantum sensor, which is in the Healy. And this is not woo-woo. Quantum sensors are real things that can detect electromagnetic signals at any frequency. So what this sensor is doing for your bioenergetic field is sensing where there is imbalance, and then it can recommend the frequencies that will help put the system back into balance. So basically how it works is that a frequency is emitted and a response is measured by the change in entropy or disorder. Frequencies which decrease entropy or disorder indicate improvement within the body's bioenergetic field. So in this way, all frequencies are individualized by the Healy because it's going to emit a test, it's going to see how it responds in the body, and if it doesn't improve anything, then it goes on to the next one, and it goes on to the next one. So within a program, let's say you choose a sleep program, it's going to have, let's say, 100 or 200 frequencies within that program that it's going to test and see which ones are actually beneficial for you in any given moment. So you can run that program on Monday, and it will give a certain set of frequencies depending on your bioenergetic field at that moment. And then the next day you could run the same program and it could actually deliver a whole different set of frequencies because those are the ones that you need at that moment, which are different than the day before. So this is really important because most other devices, they just deliver a set frequency set. They don't individualize it to you. They're not analyzing your bioenergetic system and determining what you actually need with this feedback mechanism. So that's really important because we are constantly changing and our body is constantly in different states. And so we need different frequencies at every given moment. And this is the only device I know of that does that. So there was a article written by Marcus called Information Field and Physical Noise Generator Entanglement. This is where he really describes how the quantum sensor in the Healy and that feedback mechanism works. So you can check this out, but basically the quantum events-based noise generator, which is also in the Healy and it's what creates the frequencies, are considered to find resonances of a defined set of informational patterns with the bioenergetic field of a person. So it's using the quantum noise generator to do this sensing. To find the resonances of informational patterns within the bioenergetic field, they use an algorithm and a database containing sets of information such as herbs, remedies, and frequencies, and these are applied to test their resonance within the bioenergetic system of the person. And according to other scientific research, the entropy or disorder of the quantum noise generator reacts on the context of coherence, meaning there is a change in entropy decreased if there is higher resonance, and if there is a lower resonance, which we don't want, then entropy or disorder increases. So in that way, it tests these different frequencies to see if they're beneficial for you or not in any given moment. So now that you understand how the Healy actually identifies and delivers the frequencies, how exactly do these frequencies help us? So we are made up of cells. We're made up of brain cells, heart cells, intestinal cells, blood cells. Mitochondria are the cells that produce energy, and so on. And every cell has a distinct and important function which helps to keep us alive and healthy. And in order to perform these functions, cells require electricity. Science have performed extensive research in this area and demonstrated that low-level electrical currents are the triggers that stimulate healing, growth, and regeneration in all living organisms. And one of the main mechanisms by which it does this is cell membrane potential. So I'm going to go into both of these. So here you have, again, the scientific research to back up these statements, the bioelectric code. An important mechanism by which cellular networks implement pattern regulation and plasticity is bioelectricity. All cells, not only nerve cells and muscles, produce and sense electrical signals. These processes form bioelectric circuits that harness individual cell behaviors towards specific anatomical endpoints. Basically, what they're saying is that the cells need bioelectricity in order to function. And here we have microcurrent electrical therapy. Dr. Baker demonstrates that low-level endogenous electrical currents are the triggers that stimulate healing, growth, and regeneration in all organisms. The fundamental signal in both a computer, for example, and the nervous system is a digital one. So your computer works off of zeros and ones. That's its code, that's its communication system. The body as well transfers information represented by the number of pulses per unit of time. So remember, frequency is the number of cycles per unit of time. So the number of pulses is the same thing. He's basically talking about frequency. So the body works off of frequency. This analog system senses injury and controls repair. It controls the activity of cells by producing specific electrical environments in their vicinity. It also appears to be the primary system in the brain, controlling the actions of the neurons in their generation and receipt of nerve impulses. So as you probably know, the nervous system is incredibly important. Our autonomic nervous system regulates our heartbeat, our brain state, our sleep cycles, our thought processes. Like if you are triggered by something or there is something to be afraid of, the autonomic nervous system makes the body respond. Our nervous system does everything. And given this understanding, the application of the correct form of microcurrent electrical intervention is a powerful tool for treating pain, initiating the endogenous mechanisms for healing, and even altering states of consciousness. So this just confirms in a conclusive way that this microcurrent electrical intervention can be a very powerful tool. It is very effective in modulating the body because the body works off of frequency and these electrical currents. And so it is a very potent tool to have in your health and well-being. So now talking about membrane potential, here is a scientific study. In the last decades, it has been proven that all tissues produce and carry electrical potentials of different amplitudes. So the electrical potential I'll show you is this diagram here. You have a cell and you have the internal environment of the cell, which is supposed to be negative megavolts, compared to the external environment. So the cell potential is the difference between the internal and the external. So scientists conducted extensive research on how electrical potentials of cells and tissues are responsible for different diseases and dysfunctions, such as wound healing capacity, the immune system, pain, hypoxia and acidosis, and inflammatory process. So this is the diagram that they're speaking of. They basically have a scale up to minus 90 microvolts. So remember, that's associated with healthy young cells. This can be considered healthy up until about minus 70, at which point you start to get aging, sick cells and pain, inflammation, uncontrolled cell division, and so on, as you lose cell membrane potential. So this electrical potential is so important for the health of cells. And because it's so important for the health of cells and the nervous system, as we just talked about before, it's important for everything. It's important for every single aspect of your well-being. So just to drive this home, another research article talks about reprogramming cells and tissue patterning via these bioelectric pathways. So exciting new data reveals that bioelectric properties of cells and their microenvironment exert a profound influence on cell differentiation, proliferation, and migration. So differentiation is what a cell will become. If you have a stem cell, which doesn't yet have a function or a identification, such as a liver or a heart cell, this electrical environment determines whether it's going to become a liver cell or a heart cell. The proliferation is related mostly to cancer. If you have high proliferation, if you have uncontrolled cell division, you have cancer. So you want to control proliferation, which these electrical stimuli do. and also migration. So where the cell is going to go. Is it going to stay in a clump in your liver and create cancer, or is it going to migrate where it's supposed to go, which is in the bone or in the brain or whatnot? So these are very, very important. Your body needs these electrical these potentials in order to regulate and build the body. So here you have all of the frequency modulated microcurrent research for the Healy. These include general effects. You have acne and inflammation, autism, Alzheimer's, ADHD, bone regeneration, cancer, the cell membrane potential we were talking about, cell function and regeneration, cerebral palsy, dental issues, diabetes, depression and mental health, exercise and recovery, headache, the microcurrent versus the Healy coil, which is another topic. You can email me if you need information on that. Insomnia, microbial clearance, meaning bacteria, viruses, etc., and repair. Morphogenesis and cell programming, which we just talked about. Muscle function and recovery. Stimulation is effective in treating long COVID. PTSD and traumatic brain injury. Skin healing, such as acne, inflammation, psoriasis, stroke, tinnitus, vision and neuropathy, wound healing, and there are others, but these are the ones that I've accumulated so far. So this is an ongoing list that you have access to within the article that I propose that you read. So it has a list of all the benefits here, but then it has this link to scientific references, which will bring you to the document I just shared. So here's where things get a bit tricky to explain, because the higher models of the Healy, the professional and resonance editions, include scans which scan your bioenergetic field. So as we talked about before, it uses the quantum sensor to determine where there's disturbance in the energetic field, and then it recommends the frequencies that will help balance that. At this point, there's an option to hook up the electrodes and deliver the microcurrent frequency to a body, and that's what we've been talking about so far. But there is also an option to vibrate the information from the frequencies directly into the information field, which I'll talk about in a moment. And so there are no electrodes needed. There is no distance requirement or proximity requirement. You can literally deliver frequencies to a person in another room or in another country. And so we're getting into the area of distance healing, which there's lots of research on, and I've gone into that in the article if you want to know more about it. But basically, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, shows us that particles have both matter and wave-like properties. And experiments show time and again that particles exist as waves, and waves are unlimited by space, existing in multiple positions at once until they are measured or observed. So you can do the research on this. This is a phenomena that is just, it doesn't seem to make sense. It's not what we view in the world, but this is all happening at a subatomic level where we are not able to see it. And due to these wave-like properties, particles can become entangled because they aren't as solid as they look. And so particles become entangled, and this is something that has been shown also in the literature time and time again. So this article is from Caltech, and they do a lot of research on subatomic and quantum physics. So the electrons, photons, and other particles that make up our universe can become inextricably linked, such that the state observed in one particle will be identical for the other. That connection, known as entanglement, remains strong even across vast distances. Hundreds of molecules, or even more, become entangled, as they also do in various metals and magnets, making up an interwoven community. In these many body entangled systems, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The particles act together like a single object whose identity lies not with the individual components, but in the higher plane. So this is going back to what Marcus was talking about this higher order. So frequencies not only affect the individual cells, but a higher plane. And that's what this article is talking about as well. Cells and systems of entangled particles work together to create a higher plane of organization. And so this is all basically talking about the same thing. So you also have another article here, Quantum Entangled Frequencies and Coherence in Bioenergetic Systems. So here Each living organism has its own unique information field, which I mentioned, within space-time as an attachment to outward information in space. This is composed by its physical environment and by the overlap of all the individualized information fields of each of the varied constituents with which it can communicate both near and far. So all this is saying is that every biological system has its own information field, and they can interact with each other. These information fields interact with each other through entanglement, both near and far. So that's how the Healy can provide information to the energetic field without electrodes, without it communicating directly with the body, because it's using this external field that is intrinsically connected to the body in quantum ways. So this might seem very bizarre or weird, and there again are multiple references in the article which relate to distance healing and entanglement and all of these contributing factors that help explain this phenomena. But basically, I mean, wouldn't it be great if we had a study confirming that resonating information into the information field would be just as effective as delivering microcurrent? Well, they did such a study. I linked to it in the article if you want to access it, but here is a study using the microcurrent treatment versus the vibration into the information field using the Healy. So healthy volunteers were basically divided into 3 groups. One group had the resonance function, meaning that they could resonate frequencies into the information field without electrodes. The other group could only use the microcurrent frequencies, and then they had a control group which used nothing. So the results showed or confirmed that the 2 active interventions were both effective in terms of increasing well-being, whereas the control group decreased in well-being. So the control group proved that the 2 treatment groups were effective and the control group was not. Not only this, but the Healy resonance intervention, so that's the delivery of frequencies into the information field alone, showed the same effectiveness. So just to confirm, I'm going to show you the visual of this, of the results. So you had starting points in terms of numbers of people in the group for the 2 treatment groups, but basically the effectiveness ended up being the same for the resonance group, which had the information delivered into the information field, and the microcurrent group, which just used the Healy traditionally. And then you have the control group here, which actually experienced a decrease in health and well-being, whereas the treatment groups received an increase of the same magnitude. So I believe that frequency is implicated in all aspects of our lives, not only in the physical body, but in the information field, which is connected to our friends, our family, our relationships. I've used the Healy, for example, to improve my relationship. I would put in my couple with my partner as a client in the Healy, in the app, and basically do a scan to see what is imbalanced in the couple. And it uses the information field to do that. It doesn't need just a single body, it just needs the information. So it is able to scan the information field and indicate what frequencies would be needed to recalibrate whatever is imbalanced in that couple. And it worked. I had an amazing therapy session while running the frequencies where all of my traumas and wounds within the relationship came up and released. And it was about an hour of just having all these memories come up. And it was a very profound experience where I've never experienced another healing modality do something quite so efficiently and quickly. And it really was released, and I felt amazing after, and it definitely helped our relationship. So that doesn't happen every time. That's what was needed in that moment, but just to show how it can not only improve our physical, mental, emotional well-being for a single person, but for a relationship, for someone that is far away from you, such as a family member or a child, or your relationship with your boss. Or you can run scans on your business, on your finances. You can run scans on anything that has energy, which is everything. and which is connected to the information field, which is everything, and perform these resonant frequencies, deliver these resonant frequencies, which help to balance out anything in the information field. So as I mentioned, it's tricky to explain that. I hope I did a good job. Just to kind of reiterate this a little bit more, you probably remember Dr. Emoto's experiment on water crystals. So he took water, like in a water bottle, put liquid water, and put words such as thank you, wisdom, truth, eternal, angel, I love you, etc. on the water bottles, and then froze them. These are the photos of the water crystals after they're frozen, and you can see that these different words pasted on the bottle created, like, you fool, like, look at this disorder, this disharmony in this molecule, you make me sick, disorder, evil, disorder. He also tested polluted water before prayer, which has a lot of disorder, and then polluted water after prayer. So prayer is an intention, it's a communication with the information field. And then because we are entangled, because this person's intention became entangled with the water molecules, that intention impacts the water molecules. So this just shows in a very pretty and eloquent way that this does exist. These quantum processes do impact our actual visible reality, and we are made of water. We are made of 70% water, and so how these frequencies impact us is very profound, as you can see in this diagram. So if you're ready to own your own Healy, I highly recommend getting the professional version. So the professional Healy is the one that contains all the programs, all of the scan capabilities, and the resonant function. You also have access to a database of Bach flower essences, of homeopathic remedies, of crystal frequencies. You have many more databases available in these higher models than you do with just the Healy microcurrent device, because there are certain frequencies that are only available to resonate into the information field and not to deliver to the body directly. So it's a huge benefit to have one of the higher models. I personally have the professional, and the Resonance Plus is probably very good as well. And you can also try it completely free for 14 days. So what I mean by that is you purchase the product, you get it in the mail very quickly, you try it for 14 days. So the 14-day trial period begins on the day that you receive it in the mail. And within 14 days of trying it, if you don't love it and you don't believe in the technology as it's been explained, then you simply contact support. They send you a return shipping label, and you put it in the mail, and you get your full refund, and you have no risk whatsoever. So I really think that everyone should at least try it. It's an amazing opportunity to see if it brings healing and well-being to you as it has to many others. There is a Facebook group called The Frequency Experience, where you can see all of the testimonials of people who have used Healy, and there are thousands, and they talk about everything from physical well-being, mental, emotional, how they, cured or helped someone in another country, how some people, their heater, for example, wasn't working, and so they did a scan on their heater, like their home furnace, and did a frequency, or generated the frequencies to help rebalance it, and their furnace started working. Like, you have lots of testimonials like that just prove everything that we've talked about today, which is that entanglement and quantum processes do exist, and they are interacting with the information field, and we are connected to everything through our intention, and we can change matter through our intention and this entanglement and these quantum processes. So this is an amazing tool, and I hope you will give it a try. If you have any questions, you can email me at info@meganpennington.com. It's in the article. The article can be found at meganpennington.com as well, or you can email me and I will send you the link. And just briefly, when you click on the link to purchase your Healy, you will be taken to a page which allows you to choose your location. So that's for shipping purposes, basically, and currency. It's going to ask you who your referrer is. So my name should show up there and you want to click yes. The reason for this is that it will associate your account with mine, meaning that I can send you support. So it is a medical device, and because it's a home, portable device, there should be some support provided. And so the way that the company works is that it provides commissions to the referrers or the practitioners that share it, or to you. Like, for example, if you're a person that just wants to share this on your social media and earn a commission off of it, you can do that. It's very easy. When you buy your Healy, there's a checkbox that you just check off to confirm that you want to be a Healy member, and then you have access to an affiliate link and a back office, and you can choose to use it or not. So I recommend just having that as a possibility if you're purchasing anyway. And what this means is that when you buy under a referrer, then they can provide support to you, answer questions, provide you with instructions for getting started. And I think that that's a really beneficial way to do it because, like I said, it is a medical device. It's important to use it properly, and you probably will have questions like most people do, and I'll be able to help support you. So make sure that you click that button, and then you can go and find the product that you want. If you're wanting to buy Healy, which I recommend, then you can go there and you have the different models. And as I mentioned, the Healy Resonance Plus and the Healy Professional are really the only two that I recommend because you have all those functions that I talked about before, and you have all the programs with the Healy Professional. So you have skin and deep cycle, mental balance, bioenergetic harmony, the gold cycles, sleep cycles, job, and just so that you know, all of these are categories. So within job, for example, you have multiple programs, and within those multiple programs, you have hundreds of frequencies. So what you see here is only a sliver of what you're actually getting. It's just to, structure it in a way that's not overwhelming. So they have promotions on often. Note that when you click on buy now, for example, you go to a page that has the regular price, and the regular price is displayed, and then you have in smaller print below it, in pink usually, the promotion. So that's a very important thing to know so that you aren't confused by that. So again, do let me know if you have any questions, info@meganpennington.com, or you can go check out the article at meganpennington.com, and I'm really happy to help. I know that it is a complex topic, and the science gets into the quantum field, which is also can be difficult to understand, but I believe that it's worth understanding. I believe that it's worth taking a leap of faith and trying it out for yourself to see how it can benefit you. And in my own life, it's been very impactful, and I hope that you will give it a try. Let me know if you have any questions.